I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
Today we have Patrick with us from the Paranormal Society of Savannah. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you have coming up?
Yeah, so first I want to thank you guys for having me on again. It's always a pleasure. So this weekend we'll be traveling to Bishopville, South Carolina. It's the Lizard Man Festival.
Oh, right. The Lizard Man Festival is this weekend.
Yeah, so if you guys have never been, I mean, it's awesome. And I think it's from like 10 to 2, but we have a little booth there. We'll be leaving after work Friday. And y'all come on up. It's only like 2.5 hours away.
Sure.
Very nice.
It's a lot of fun. And then on July the 12th and 13th, we'll be at the Fitzpatrick Hotel in Washington, Georgia. We do have tickets on sale for $24.95. We've got lots of great speakers and a workshop. And then if you want to investigate or what more, you can get the VIP ticket for $59, I think, or something like that. So,
Megan and I will be joining you.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
it's going to be
nice.
a lot of fun.
That's going to be awesome.
So those are the two things we got coming up right now.
Very cool. And we're going to talk about Patrick's recent investigation back in February at the Fitzpatrick Hotel. But JT is bringing us our new friend.
I do not approve.
Yes, he does.
I do not
want
approve.
to say that the box, for those of you just listening, says porcelain revolving head musical clown. So I was
See, just that name alone says no thank you.
I was at an antique shop here in Savannah a couple days ago because JT had sent me out to get a floor lamp. I did not find a floor lamp, but I did find this. I was walking into a couple of the booths, and I was in one of them, and I started hearing this like little, music box version of It's a Small World, like the Disney ride. And I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And then I looked up on the shelf, and tucked back into the shelf was this guy.
Yay.
And he starts playing by himself.
Yay. Unpleasant.
Here he is.
Nope. No on many, many levels.
It kind of looks like a vampire.
Right?
Oh, why?
He's talking to you.
So upsetting. So one of my big beefs with dolls of this nature is that they are painted with their eyes looking away. They're literally looking askance. They look guilty. I do not like that.
What?
Oh,
Why?
Interesting.
Why is this in here? Do you know what this is?
I do.
Okay.
Look at that. Somebody was trying to cleanse this doll. Absolutely.
I just looked in the box, and it's like a piece of.
So it's what you would use to put an incense in a disposable fashion. This is literally like burning sage or thing like that, but you use it for something that you burn entirely. You don't. It's not burning and smudging. It is burning something entirely, and put that back.
That was back in the box where our friend came from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm going to crank him so that you can hear his full song a little bit. But he does sing on his own.
Oh, and he dances.
I told you his head's revolving.
Oh, I thought it meant spinning. He's undulating. It's an undulating little porcelain-faced clown doll, which I'm not happy with at all.
Wait, Chris.
In the least. Oh, it's his feet! Oh, my God!
It's his foot.
His feet are these little... What? Yes! Oh, my God. It's those little Bunsen burner thingies, but it is his feet. His feet! Oh, that's creepy as all get out. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. His real feet are gone, and they're replaced by tinfoil incense burners.
Just to cleanse him.
Just to cleanse him.
So-
Maybe he got up to running around too much.
Probably. But yeah, so he's going to live here with us. We have the Parajunkies on the on the live stream right now, and Ashley said, "Is that Jingles' girlfriend?" It can be. We'll see. Well, I mean, Jingles already has a girlfriend, but I mean, there's always room for more, right?
And she looks fiercely protective right now of Jingles.
She does. Shirley said, "Not my man."
Yeah. She's definitely got that downward look going. Any spirits that want to contact us can do so by jostling the little musical doll, and we'll hear the music, and we'll know that you're trying to contact us.
With its undulating neck.
Very upsetting.
It does need its own little curio box. Chelsea said,
Yes.
Maybe.
Surrounded by salt.
someone really wanted to cleanse him. Yes. Well, and that's the thing. The whole time I was walking around the shop, he was singing to me. And then when I went to buy him, the cashier wouldn't touch him. He said I had to put him in the bag because he's like, I'm not touching that thing.
No, yeah, I know. He's unpleasant. He's an unpleasant thing.
No, I did not reattach his foot. What point would that be? We want him to be active, don't we?
No. Although, if it was the incense burner feet, maybe having him unattached will keep him from being trapped in the body.
Very true. Well, okay. So now that we've talked about our new clown friend, we're going to thank a few parajunkies. So we want to thank Seba, Moon, Sammy, Amos, Carolyn, and Rachel. Thank you so much for joining us over on Patreon. And I know a couple of y'all recently sent in ghost mails as well, so we'll be reading those in the coming weeks, if you will. But thank you guys so much. And if you are looking to watch the live streams, like when we're filming these things, if you want to join us for the fix, you know, you want to get exclusive content, you want to do all the fun things, watch Chris's reaction, you know, to the various creepy items that we get. These are the types of things that happen over on Patreon. So join us over there. If
I will always react poorly to clowns and porcelain-faced dolls. So if you have a porcelain-faced clown doll, no.
That undulates.
And undulating does not help. Stephanie B brings up that we were tagged in a TikTok where a lady removed the leg bones of a wandering doll. And I think that might be why this clown doesn't have feet, is to keep him from running around. Yes, Stephanie, I am not a fan either.
I don't know. I kind of like him a little bit, but
yeah.
Well, anywho, so thank you all so much for joining us over on Patreon. We're now going to do our cryptid roulette.
Cryptid roulette.
Cryptid roulette.
Oh wait, don't we have a voice? Hit the monster voice.
Hit the monster voice.
Tell them why we have this first.
Okay, so JT recently got a new soundboard for us so that when we do the live streams and we have guests that are not in studio with us, it makes it a little bit easier. But this new upgrade has sound effects that you can do on our voices. We have not figured out how to get it on my microphone, but Chris has it on his microphone. So, Chris, have at it.
Cryptid roulette.
JT's face.
By JT's face, it was
successful.
something fun.
Legendary.
Legendary.
All right. So, what are y'all hoping that we're going to get today in our cryptid book from the Cryptids, Creatures, and Critters?
I would like something from Asia. I feel like we've been always bouncing around Northern Europe a lot.
That's true. What about you, Patrick?
Oh, I'm down with anything.
All right. Not the Flathead Lake Monster of Montana.
It's Montana. Well, and that's pretty good because it's not Northern Europe.
But
That's just a sturgeon.
that's literally what a sturgeon looks like. So in this book, if you're new here, this book has little illustrations and quips about various cryptids, monsters, and critters from around the world. And today's is the Flathead Lake Monster from Flathead Lake, Montana. And its category is monster.
So it was cleverly named.
Very cleverly named.
The Flathead Lake has a monster. What shall we name it?
And so the Flathead Lake Monster is an elusive aquatic cryptid found in Flathead Lake in Montana. Nicknamed Montana Nessie, because every lake or water entity has to be called Nessie in some capacity.
Yeah, they should have called it Flatty.
Well, it's actually sometimes called Flossie.
Oh, Flossie. I can get behind Flossie.
I can too. That's really cute. The Flathead Lake Monster is one of the many water-based cryptids that share similarities with the Loch Ness Monster. The Flathead Lake Monster has two physical descriptions, which suggests that there may be more than one type of creature in the deep lake. One has the head of a snake and an eel-like body that could be as long as 40 feet. The second variant is often much smaller at about 10 feet, so it's the babies, and frequently matches the description of a large sturgeon.
Oh, well, there you go.
A rather angular-looking freshwater fish, this second variant of the Flathead Lake Monster is sometimes described to have a large dorsal fin. The Flathead Lake Monster was first sighted in 1889 by Captain James C. Kerr. While he was sailing his passenger boat, he spotted a 20-foot shadow moving under the water. One of the passengers fired a rifle at the creature, as one does, but missed his shot. And the creature disappeared down into the depths. Another strange creature, described as a giant dog, was spotted in the lake in 1937. In 1949, a family spotted a giant creature rising to the surface and descending again. But the father of the family suspected it to be a 12-foot sturgeon in the water. A decade later, in 1965, the Funk family spotted a large...
I'm sorry. The Funk family? I want to party with them.
the Funkies. But
Who's got the funk?
they do.
Everybody's got the funk. Okay, sorry.
Well, they've got the lake monster. That's what the Funks have.
Well, Ashley points out that the Lake Erie monster is named Bessie, and I'm like, that's a missed opportunity because Erie is a great name for a monster.
Yeah, it really is. That's so funny. The Funk family spotted a large black dorsal fin approaching their boat after passing. It created a significant wake. In 1985, an Army major and his son witnessed a long eel-like creature and saw it again 2 years later. The Flathead Lake Monster was also seen in 1993 by the Gaffney family, who described humps. And it is Nessie-like, approximately 20 feet long. And other hump-based sightings were recorded in 1998 and 2005. The latter sighting reported to see 6 of them swimming together. So there's like a colony of little... like sturgeon monsters.
Lake monsters.
Lake
Although,
monsters.
if you come across a sturgeon, you will think it's a monster. I mean, if you're like in a boat and a sturgeon,
And
a
Patrick,
12-foot
this is what
sturgeon comes flying by,
describing it
you're
as.
going to look over and say, "Oh, a sea monster just came by the boat."
You know, we got a sea monster not too far from here.
Yes, the Alamahaha, the Altamahaha.
Altamaha River.
That's it. The Altamahaha.
Alti in
Alti.
Darien, Georgia.
Yeah. I think they have like a statue of it in the Darien Visitor Center, right?
Yeah, from eyewitnesses, he created a sculpture of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, anytime you guys want to get out in the river there and take a peek, see if we can find him, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We would like to do some cryptid hunting. You know, we've basically limited ourselves on the ghost hunts and ghost investigations, but there are lots of there is a pseudo Bigfoot in the Fort Stewart area in Fleming, Georgia. There is the Altamaha monster, the lizard man.
Lizard Man in Bishopville
I think
and Savannah.
JT had a run in with the lizard man.
Yes. When you were living out in Georgetown?
yeah.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. In Georgia.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Have y'all ever if you go to my website, I talk about seeing the lizard man in Georgetown. I promise you. It's where Forest Cove is.
Yeah.
But we were back there. I promise you.
I believe
I never
it.
knew. But if you go to my web or anything, yeah, it's weird. So I'm the only one because it was me and 2 of my buddies. But my dad didn't believe me, and we just dropped everything, and it was my dad's brand new cast net, and he was like, this was like 1987, and he was like, hey, where's my brand new cast net? And we were telling him, and he's like, you're going to get it if you don't go get it. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take the butt whipping or whatever you got, man. So we walked back together, and there was the trail and everything, and the little 3-fingered. Yeah, I didn't talk about it for a long time, but when we started getting back into it, my dad would always say, tell them about it, tell them about it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Georgetown, yeah. How long ago was it for you?
It was probably, I don't have a mic, but it was probably in 2008, 2009. And when I was living there, and it was in the driveway late at night, and it looked like a massive, like, Komodo dragon. It was not an alligator. I know that for a
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
It was too tall to be an alligator.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
Well, and lizard man sightings do spread from the tip of like North Carolina down into Florida. You'll hear tales and sightings of something that is not quite like an alligator. You know, longer limbs, a stranger body shape. But a lot of people think that it might be some kind of like mutant evolutionary.
well, we thought it was an
Alligator
alligator walking on,
Upright,
and
yeah.
it was like, whoa. You know, I think I was 15 in '87, and then a couple months later, it was on the news, and I freaked out, and I was like, "That's exactly what I saw. What the guy Chris was describing and everything." And we've been out there one time before, but hopefully we can check it out this weekend.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
come.
I'm all about it. We should work on a cryptid hunt in the near future because there's also like a nice in betweeny of the Moon-eyed people up in northern Georgia. There's that fort that a lot of people claim to have seen these entities.
Exactly. And also to add back to our cryptid roulette choice today, Elle, one of our parajunkies, is in school right now for zoology. And so she had mentioned in the comments, I think it isn't a sturgeon.
Sure.
Because sturgeons are a type of fish that need to have salt water to lay their eggs at the end of their life cycle. And unless they are going through all of the Great Lakes out into a bay, I don't think it's a sturgeon. So interesting little tidbits. So
Absolutely.
Also, Ashley wanted to mention there's a Mothman Festival in the end of September.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so yeah, lots of cryptid festivals. But alrighty, y'all. Well, now that we've gone through that, we're gonna go ahead and jump into talking about Patrick's experience at the Fitzpatrick Hotel. Y'all remember a few? Well, how long has that been now? Like almost a year
It's been over a year,
Yeah.
I think.
since we did our investigation at the Fitzpatrick. So we'd like to compare notes with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we kind of went in blind, not really knowing what was going on. We had heard little things, but we didn't want to really get into this one. We just wanted to experience for ourselves like anything. So I rented the suite on the second floor. And one of the things I was putting my stuff up and whatever, and there's this big mirror on the side of the wall. And I remember sitting there talking to some of the team members, and I remember kind of looking, I was like, oh, that's a cool mirror. And I looked away, and when I looked back, my reflection was still looking at the team members.
Oh.
That's the first time that has ever happened to me. I've heard people talk about stuff like
Yep.
that. So I went down and I was talking to the owner and the keeper, and they were like, "Yeah, that mirror is like 130 years old or something, but it's been here ever since." So that was the first thing. So right then I knew, okay, when you walk in a place, you can usually tell, okay, this is going to be good or this is going to be, let's see what happens. But after we got settled and everything, we, started putting up cameras. Everybody was getting weird. I was sitting right outside of my room. There's these couches, kind of like you guys have over there, like these lazy Susans or whatever you want to call them, over there. So I was just kind of sitting there, and I noticed these statues at the long end of the hallway. I don't know if y'all remember those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
So
I
I
do.
was like, man, those things are pretty creepy. And so I had a team member sit down next to me, and we were sitting there talking, and all of a sudden we both saw it. It looked like a figure just ran across from the actual figures and went right into the room. So, of course, we asked about that, and they were like, yeah, a lot of people see figures from those statues down there. So getting into the investigation, we were able to go down into the basement, down
We
in the
did
bottom.
too.
So, I think, they don't allow everybody to do that, but, you put on a little Southern charm, I guess, or something,
Exactly.
And so we got down there, and we were getting some really good EVPs. But in the ballroom upstairs, we've had several members, like, really, one of them got really upset. Another one just kind of freaked out. I don't know what the problem was going on in the ballroom.
Sure.
So we went in there, but I think it was more adamant towards women than it was men. I don't know why. But it was the far right corner.
Sure.
Over in there is where we were getting a lot of good readings and things. So between my room and then the third floor, which you have to take the stairs because the elevator doesn't go up there for anybody that's coming to visit or whatever. The two rooms up there that are side by side are just way active. I mean, like tons of stuff going on up there. And I was impressed. One of our team members, he likes using the Echovox.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was using that in our room, and he was, I guess there was a young lady that was pushed out the window.
Yes.
That was the room I stayed in.
Oh,
over
really?
There,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. So we were able to communicate with her. That was really, really cool. But I think the coolest thing was I guess the room I was in used to be like a nursery too or something.
So 201 or on the second floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple of team members were singing like, Ring Around the Rosies. or
Oh,
whatever.
sure.
And it was finishing. It was finishing the song. So little words and stuff. So that was pretty cool. But all in all, it was a great investigation. That's why we're going back.
Yeah.
And doing an event and hosting an event. So
Yeah, we had a lot of interaction in
We
that
did.
children's nursery room.
Okay.
And our cat balls were going off.
Yeah.
And we were able to get them, to respond by playing with the cat balls. And then they told us to go places.
Yes.
They would literally be like, go down the hall or
Go to the
Go to the
ballroom.
ballroom.
Yeah.
Things like
Because
that.
we were talking to the girls that we think were twins, right? Or something along those lines.
We knew they were sisters. I don't know if we knew
Yeah.
they were twins. And the story was that one of them had fallen down the stairs and died.
Right.
And so it was definitely because there's a convoluted story about the children's deaths and whether, and we were having a hard time like nailing down the facts of it. But we did feel like we had sisters, two girls that were talking to us.
And it's funny you mentioned that. One of our team members was on the third floor walking down, and we have little group chats when we go out, and it's like, hey, I need some help. I'm on the stairs. I fell down. Well, we didn't know if it was, just her messing with us or what. So I came out of my room and looked over, and she's just sitting on the stairs there, and she's got her head down, and she's like, I feel like something pushed me.
Oh, wow.
So, but then she was chalked it up to she wasn't feeling well. So it could have been one or two things, but it was right next to where those statues are too.
Oh, yeah.
Second floor. So I want to really get deep into that when we go back. I told them like that's my section. I want to focus on those sections with the statues in there because they're really creepy.
It's very interesting too because I've had a lot of experiences over the years with small children who have that kind of, that age where they still seem to have a lot more connection to paranormal things, talking to statues, talking to little statues. And it's like, what is the overall thing going on here? Because it's like, is it because they're like big dolls? They're big humanesque looking things. And so communicating them is one thing. But one of my favorite stories was literally a little angel statue, a little, Cupid statue. And the kid would be like, hey, get back to heaven and tell, so-and-so something. And I was like, what are the messages? What,
Right.
it's like, were you paying attention? She's like, no, it's just, we think it's funny. She tells the Cupid to go back to heaven and report. And I'm like, You don't think that's a little?
Like, what are we reporting? Well, it's interesting too on the ballroom that y'all were having more activity on the right side, because I want to say on the right side was the mirror that got shot.
It's got a bullet hole in it.
Yeah, it's got a bullet hole. Well, there's a reason for it.
They're shooting pigeons.
Yeah,
In there.
Because when it sat derelict for a while, there were so many birds that were roosting in that room, and so they give kids like a quarter and a gun and just be like, go take care of it. And so,
but violent impact on a mirror has, even the concept of breaking a mirror brings about all kinds of superstitions and beliefs about whatever's stored up inside the mirror, and whatever the mirror was holding and repressing and keeping in check. You break it, something seeps out. So yeah, that whole side, I think we had the same experience of that side of the ballroom being, and I can even see it. It's, when you're looking at that mirror, it's over here. There's like this, the corner seems darker than any other part of the room, and it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. It's not like there's anything that casts shadows or makes it, specifically darker in that corner. But I do remember sitting in that room and being like, you feel that? You feel that notion that area is dark?
And I also wanted to ask, the person who fell down the stairs, was that on the second or first floor?
That was on the second floor. She was coming down from the
third to the second.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I was going to say, JT and I and Debria had an experience in the middle of the night where because they literally put us on the exact opposite ends of the hotel.
I was at the top floor furthest away, and they were on the bottom floor, like behind the front desk.
And we were the only ones in this hotel. Like, no staff, no nothing.
Yeah, the staff left.
So it was just us. And JT and I and Debria, we were all sharing a room because we had the double room. And so we're all like watching videos and stuff, winding down, and we just hear boom, 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 boom. Like it sounded like a whole person rolling down the stairs, and we thought it was Chris. Because we're like, well, maybe he came down to tell us something or whatever, and he tripped because, it was dark in the hotel. And so we were like, oh my God, Chris is dead.
He fell to his death.
He's fallen
He's
to
obviously
his death.
dead.
And so JT texts him, and he's like, if Chris doesn't respond in 30 seconds,
we're running up there.
We're running. And so we text him, we're like, did you just fall down the stairs? And he goes, no, I was in my room. And we're like, so I'm wondering.
My room, which, by the way, was a terribly haunted, mirror-filled nightmare of a room that I was alone, so far away from everyone that if I screamed bloody murder, they wouldn't have heard me.
It's also one of the rooms where one of the Ghost Brothers got their booties touched.
That's right. Well, because
That's a bonus.
one of the Ghost Brothers did Bloody Mary in the mirror in there.
Before you got to stay in there.
Before I stayed there.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed.
Well, yeah, because they had a horrific setup of mirrors in that room. And I don't know if you remember that, where it was like almost like a triangle of mirrors facing the bed.
Right. So it was like a vortex this way and then one facing the bed that way. No, I didn't sleep that night.
No.
It was not pleasant.
Yeah, we went to bed pretty late. We were just having so much activity that
Right.
Once you get it, you don't want to stop. Because sometimes it goes 2 or 3 hours, and it's just so.
We were lucky because we had 2 nights, and so the first night we did end up trying to sleep, and then the second night we ran pretty late, and we did get down into the cellar, which goes into like an earthen floor area, which has this very oppressive thing, and we were using, what's the Estes method?
It was the Estes method.
We were doing the Estes method, and we were getting a very consistent storyline that seemed to be about a thief.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
But it was very interesting. And it was because one of the stories of the Fitzpatrick is that it, in its development stage, it's half of its property was a part of the cemetery.
Yeah.
And so you're and when you're underground where there used to be a cemetery, you can pretty much guarantee they moved some bodies around. And that in itself just makes that underground area.
Or
so
they said they did.
Right. Yeah, or they said they. Well, they at the very least they had to push them into the dirt.
Yeah.
Ashley said, I blame the Ghost Brothers. It's I'm sure,
Yes.
were riling some
And we're
stuff
not
in
nearly
there.
as entertaining as the Ghost Brothers, so the ghosts were probably like, "Go ahead, make us laugh, make us laugh. Hey,
Make
you,
us laugh."
make us laugh."
But so for y'all's event, what's kind of the main vibe of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so on Friday it's just kind of like a meet and greet, relax, kind of get to know other people there. So that because I'm the type to where I just don't like just walking into an event or something and I don't really know you. At least we can introduce ourselves and say, okay, this is what we're going to kind of do or whatnot. But the next morning, the event will start, and we've got some great speakers. We got Margie Linnell, who's written several books on the ghosts up in Abbeville and Greenville. And she also owns Hourglass Tours. She's awesome. We got Flip coming. That's on the team, Flip Sears. He is an ITC expert, and he is awesome. I've never not been on an investigation where he doesn't play back the coolest EVPs. I mean, and I'm like, wow, you got that. That is awesome. But we've got other ones coming. We got Kyle coming. You know, Kyle was just here in our class here at Underground. So Kyle will be there, the demonologist. And then we've got several others that'll be there performing workshops and stuff. But we'll also teach those that it's first time how to use equipment,
Right.
basic equipment, then a little bit further in case they want to jump ahead. And then we'll have some vendors there, you know, selling their books or whatever. So it's going to be a fun time. And then for those that bought the VIP package, we'll investigate later on that evening at the Fitzpatrick. So we're looking forward to that as
Super
well.
cool.
So it's going to be a long day, and which we love because it's just fun. And it's fun being around like-minded people like that, too.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That's going to be so awesome. And
It's going to be fun.
I'm glad that people are starting to become aware of the Fitzpatrick because it really is a fascinating
It
property.
really is, and it's just a little gem, far away from like any hustle and bustle, you know, and that gives you kind of like room to breathe.
That little square.
Yeah, that little square is really
cool.
nice.
It
It's a really
is.
lovely little town.
They're really, and there's a really cool coffee shop right next to it. We had coffee there. Oh God, it was great. But you know, they asked that, you know, we don't call it the haunted Fitzpatrick, call it the historic Fitzpatrick, which is what a lot of you know, businesses are doing now because they just don't want to be flooded with that type all the time. I guess I mean I know they welcome it, but it's one. I went and talked to Brittany right after that happened. I was like, would it be okay if we decided to put on an event? Absolutely. So
Yeah, they were very warm, very accommodating. The whole town was, the hotel especially. But utilizing the term historic over haunted is really about being respectful of the brand. You know, unless it's a haunted attraction, using the word haunted has a lot of connotations, brings about a lot of questioning, and can scare away customers and clients who don't want any association or affiliation with that kind of thing. So
Sure.
A lot of times when you know, they don't call it the haunted Stanley Hotel, you know, they don't call it the haunted Hawthorne. And the reason why is because despite how haunted a place might be, if that's not its business, if its business isn't ghosts, then it really is misleading, because then you have people who are coming for the haunt,
Hello.
coming for the haunt and not receiving it, and people who are coming just to stay and now
Right.
being kind of bummed out because it's haunted.
And they're stressed instead of
Stressed.
relaxed.
Right, exactly.
You know.
So, you know, I find that that concept very sound. It's like, unless you're going to go all in on being a haunted
Right.
place, don't call your building haunted. You know, unless
Right.
you're going all in on, you know, that notion, because a lot of people get very have high expectations.
yeah.
And the moment you say, yeah, this is a haunted place, something that is impossible to verify, impossible
Right.
to authenticate, no matter how much evidence you might have, no matter how much experience you might have, people can walk in and have nothing happen. And that is for the norm, you know, absolutely normal. So yeah, I find that that's a good distinction to make, you know, for all of you out there who are looking to promote, you know, locations. Historic oftentimes means haunted.
It's true.
But since it's not, you know, the business model isn't we're selling ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those of y'all who are interested in going to that, it's the Fitzpatrick Hotel, if you're not familiar, is in Washington, Georgia, which is a little outside of Athens.
Augusta.
It's
between Athens and Augusta,
Yeah.
but I think it's closer to Augusta.
Yeah, so it's in that kind of middle Georgia range.
North, middle,
Yeah. So if you're anywhere in that region, definitely consider coming out to it. Or if you're in South Carolina or anything like that, take a little journey down. It is a really cool place to visit, and it is beautiful and very haunted, even though it is a historic hotel. But
We had some amazing experiences.
we did.
there.
We had a
Absolutely.
really interesting time there. But y'all, we're going to jump into our ghost mail now. And this is going to be one ghost mail for us. Now, this one actually was sent to me as a DM on my personal Instagram. So I will tell you, if you are going to send in ghost mails, y'all, I do check my DMs every periodical amount of time. But if you want to make sure that we're seeing it, do make sure to send it into ghost mail because I check that way more regularly. But nonetheless, so this one is from MW. So longtime pod listener, first time caller. I just started a new job last week, and I was in the bathroom looking in the mirror. Been working on my self concept recently, so I was affirming myself quickly in the mirror. Now I am a safe mirror girly, lock all of mine, etc. I don't be fucking with those portals. So, yeah. So, JT, make a note of that one. But I don't be doing that with those portals. But you know, quick bathroom break wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I'm maybe 2 affirmations in when I realized something is wrong, but I couldn't tell what. Side note, as a kid, I used to lose myself in the mirror and deeply disassociate. So I tried to be careful of that. But very quickly, I realized what was wrong. I was born with a genetic mutation in my eyes. No matter what my pupils are not the same size, one is always larger for the past 31 years, LOL. Except my pupils were the exact same size. I immediately pulled back and shielded myself. Hecate is my girl, so I called in some backup, and immediately my eyes were back to their mismatched selves. So, dunno WTF what was in that mirror, but it wasn't me. Literally, you were the first person I thought of to share this to. Also, I know Faye Daddy loves context. I do love context. And last night, I did strangely end up in the astral without meditation. I intuitively knew a hex I casted on my ex in deep, deep rage. It was purely intention and words, but through the grapevine, I know what I did worked. Needed to be ended. I ended up there and knew I had to sever this from him. Was talking to his higher self and freed him of it. Ended up also seeing and speaking with the higher self of my new partner, which was crazy. So if you have any tips on how to protect yourself when you accidentally eyes open when you're peeing on the toilet, end up in the astral talking to the men of your life, I'd love to hear it, because I have to assume the lack of protection then is what happened and what helped start this today. So,
Yeah.
MW, what sounds like to me was that you had a doppelganger
Absolutely.
encounter, which you know how Chris feels about doppelgangers and mirrors. Yeah,
It seems to be a mirror episode.
it really does. Well, and what's your take on it, Chris?
So it's what's very interesting, because that is a very solid concept, is noticing the small differences, the smallest things, because doppelgangers are learning to look like you. And so one of the most common things you hear in a doppelganger encounter, especially in the mirror, is that doesn't quite look like me. Like, there's something about this mirror that makes me look thinner, or there's something about this mirror that makes me look different. That notion, that sensation that something is unfamiliar in your reflection, something that you don't recognize, and being able to pinpoint what it is usually is what solidifies your knowledge that it's not you. You know, I had a terrible encounter with a mirror version of me that was smiling, and I wasn't. And that immediate disconnect, the knowledge, and you were just saying that you saw a figure not facing the same way you were facing. That's a big one, because one big one is doing a sudden movement. Like, if you're ever in this circumstance, do a sudden movement and see if the mirror has a little lag time, because that could be the doppelganger trying to mimic its way into
up with you.
keeping up with you. You mentioned that you seal your own mirrors, and here you were at an unsealed mirror. That in itself suggests that it might be buildup. It might be something that's been trying to get to you for a while, and that's what's giving it that much force and power, because they can travel from mirror to mirror. An entity can move through the mirror realm anywhere. We're talking your side view mirror on your car, certain reflective surfaces that aren't even mirrors. So things to keep in mind. But I do think, fascinatingly, if you did cast some dark hex, that's a tether, that's a line. And that is something that a spectral spirit like a doppelganger could easily be using to hunt you. So it's kind of like having a line coming off of you into the other realm. And these dark entities, they will see the line and grab hold, and then they'll just start coming for you on the line. That is why oftentimes people say, don't, it'll come back on you sevenfold. That notion, it's like, well, how does that work? How does it work? If I do some dark magic to somebody, how does it come back at me? That's how it comes back at you. In order for dark magic to work in that sense, you have to remain connected to the suffering party. And that connection, it's as bright as a beacon to these beings, and they can follow you, and they will look for the ways in. And the easiest way in for these entities, mirrors. Every mirror can be a doorway to this kind of spectral entity. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I feel like in the way, especially because, yes, exactly how Chris was saying, your pupils were different, especially because you have such specific pupils that makes a lot of sense and immediately sparked doppelganger in my mind. But also is the fact that when you called upon your deity that you work with and asked for protection and it went back to normal, that spells to me that
Yes,
it's
very much
something, that is looking to be more of a leech, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting thing, because there is just the ever so slightest difference between mimic and doppelganger. Because doppelgangers do tend to get everything right eventually. Like a doppelganger can know all your memories, have all your thoughts, have everything. So a doppelganger is kind of another you. A mimic is imitating you. So it is trying harder and harder to look like you and act like you and be like you. But that does suggest that mimics can graduate into doppelgangers if they get enough time to observe and enough time to get it right.
A whole ceremony for
Right.
graduating
It's
to
like,
doppelganger.
congratulations, you are no longer a mimic, you are a full-blown doppelganger. So, again, pure theory on that notion, because we do encounter a lot of entities that try to look like you or sound like you, or that notion of I heard my voice calling me, or I heard my mom's voice calling me, or the concept of mimic versus doppelganger. They are different entities.
Exactly. So, well, hopefully you don't encounter that again, but at least you're taking your precautions and locking your mirrors, and maybe steer away from some baneful magic just for a period of time, just to see how that changes. But
Yeah, and it's interesting to suggest that you can accidentally unleash a hex, which you absolutely can. That's why you should always be mindful, especially when you're mad, of the kinds of things you wish for.
fair enough. Exactly. But thank you, MW, for sending that in. And thank you, Patrick, for joining us
Absolutely,
today.
having me again.
Of course. And Patrick, where can they find where to buy tickets?
So they can find it on our Facebook page, Paranormal Society of Savannah. And if they call and reserve their rooms, there's not that many left. Tell them you're there for the paranormal event. You get 15% off your room. So
I think
might
they
wanna
are
make a
actually
call.
sold out.
Are they now?
Yeah.
So
We'll be staying at the Quality Inn.
Fair enough. Well, y'all, hopefully you will make it out to the Fitzpatrick for that event, or the Lizard Man Fest. You never know.
Oh, yeah, Lizard Man Fest.
But
What town is the Lizard Man Fest in?
it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They have a parade that comes right through the vendor alley
Fun.
where we are. It's a lot of fun.
Where?
Bishopville, South Carolina.
Bishopville.
Bishopville. So
If
there
you're
you
in
go.
the area, go see the Lizard Man.
Go
Poke
see
him in
the
the face.
Lizard Man.
Poke him right in the face.
That's right.
But thank y'all so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. But with that, my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And stay spooky, y'all.